This is Just Amazon on Thursday, September 30th, 2021. So yesterday we were talking a bit about this candle and where the 200 was at. And so I just wanted to refresh our memories that the closing price or the price of the 200, come on, now it's not going to show up. The price of the 200 some moving average yesterday, if it'll show up now, it's like, there it is, 33.11.11. And today was slightly higher, 33.11.75. Let's jump over to, I've got it on the 30-minute where we left off yesterday. And we continued sideways today. We can go and redraw this on the 5-minute. We'll dig a little deeper there, but we were making slightly lower highs, higher lows, relative lows. And the price we were contending with here, and again here, was the same price as the 200 submoving average. So the close here was 33.11.25. The open here was 33.11.56. Close here was 33.10.54, and the open here was 33.10. Pushed slightly above 33.13.48, but this is the range. This was kind of the apex point of this triangle that I was saying yesterday looked like we would kind of chop around and see if we could roll over or break out, and we got a little bit of a rollover. It pushed out, retested. So the triangle I just had on here, we chopped around today, we rolled down, retested, and started to roll over. And I don't know if this is the end of the rollover, if we're going to push down back to the low, if we're going to continue down much further, bounce, go down lower like that. It seems to be looking that way. I mean, this was a really nice triangle break today. So it actually happened, and we held the apex price. We could still get a little bit of a retest tomorrow, back up into that same price. It could even have a stronger rally. We've got, we just had the daily up. We've had 3 days in a row of this. And one thing I noticed, we go back to, all right, let's dive into the 5 minutes. And I talked about these waves. Which day was that? I talked about these waves on 28th. So that was Tuesday. And the day started out with this bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, slightly bullish. So like kind of 5 waves here of just kind of multiple candles in one direction, then the other, just switching back and forth. And one thing that helped me notice, so seeing it there on the 5-minute and then switching back to the daily, it's like, oh, we've been doing the same thing on the daily. It's all fractal. Things are happening at different levels, can show up in other places. And so I can move this back to the left a little bit more. And we had, a single candle on its own here and then continued bullish, bearish. And I'm just saying the candles, the color of the candles, not so much the direction, but I mean, this barely pulled back, but still it was multiple candles in a row. So we had a wave of bullish, wave of bearish, wave of bullish, wave of bearish, wave of bullish, wave of bearish, wave of bullish, wave of bearish. I don't know when this wave of bearish will stop. It seems to be we're having multiple candles in a row. So it can continue. If we get a bullish candle, it doesn't mean that we're going to have multiple bullish candles, but it seems to fit the pattern we've been doing. We did have here a single candle. This was, this whole stretch, there was a lot of choppiness. We would have one candle one day in one direction, then the other direction the next day. So, this went just single candles, bullish, bearish, bullish, and then a wave of bearish, and then bullish, bearish, bullish, and then a wave of bearish. So that was kind of the pattern here. And it has changed over here to be more directional, or multiple days in a row of that direction of candle. And so today, that was another reason I was realizing, like, oh, we should see another bearish day if we're getting multiples in a row. We only had 2 bearish here, but we had 4 here, 3 here, and now another 3. Doesn't mean we have to stop at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. It could keep on going. So I had that on the bigger picture. This is the end of the month. Let's jump out to the monthly. I looked at the weekly the other day, and the monthly, this just looks like chop. This looks like it's completely sideways. We do have the 21 exponential on a monthly at 29.63.79. So that is right in line with getting back down to the 2900s on the weekly, and I don't really see anything that's got a strong pattern other than this being an inverted hammer. If we go back down to a weekly, this is what I looked at the other day, pointing out the head and shoulders here. And we've got the 100 simple moving average down around 2850. And then coming back to a daily, we've got, let's see, at the bottom of this channel, around 29, what was that one? This, I want this one, it's not highlighting it. It's highlighting the channel. I just want that red line. It's not giving it to me. I think that was this open candle. So that would have been around 2930, 2935, somewhere in there. So that would actually match up with the monthly, right? It was the monthly price. That was the 21 here. So it's a little bit above that red line, but that's still kind of the same area. But this is really just choppy. This is somewhat of a stair step on a monthly, but it's not really going anywhere. And we've been doing this pattern of alternating individual candles. So bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish, and just going sideways. But it changed from these waves, a bullish wave, bearish wave, bullish wave, bearish wave. So you can see that again showing up. After we put in a single candle on its own, we kind of shifted to these waves through here, and then we shifted back to individual candles. So just an interesting thing to see here happening on the monthly also. Again, it's fractal. So you can see things at different levels and take some lessons from that. I'm seeing a lot of choppiness here on the monthly, but that helped form this pattern. You had some more directional here, but it was bookended by individual candles. Not sure we can take much from the monthly, but going back into the daily here, that's where we can see, okay, we've got these waves happening. So this current wave or this current pattern, just for a refresher, seeing this being a head and shoulders, break down, retest the neckline, and here we are lower. And again, continuing lower than this low, getting below the 200 again. It's a very similar candle to this one right here. So this candle and this candle, very similar. The day preceding it, somewhat of an inverted hammer there. And this was a right side up hammer and bullish. Could we do another down candle like that tomorrow? Sure. We come down like that. We are a little bit higher in price than we were over here. So this is a little lower. We could even come down to the same low. So that would be around 3,200. That's entirely possible to have $100, 100-point range day. We did that on Tuesday, right? This day was, I know it was only 80. So we haven't had a massive day in a while. This day was the one that was over 100 points. So I guess not a while. This was recent enough. We had a lot of them going back a ways. We had some bullish ones over here. We had some bigger candles, through these sell-offs. These weren't, this was almost 100 points. This one was over 100. So it's possible to have that kind of day. I'm not predicting that necessarily, but if it starts to continue moving down, if we get some decent retests on the 5-minute, then yeah, look to play that. What we were doing today, and I'll zoom in a little bit more. So aside from the bigger triangle that we can see in the 30-minute, and you can see it here, we were retesting. So this high was a retest of this low and yesterday's low during the day here too. So all that is around the same price, right at 3,300, nice round number. And then this level retesting was into the 200 simple moving average. And so these levels, they've been established. We even had kind of that same thing around 3310, 3311 through here yesterday. So all of that is just saying, okay, we're in this kind of band. So if you kind of extend this and say, okay, what is this? What is this price range? Well, it was acting as support yesterday, and today it's acting as resistance. So if we get back up to it and hold it as resistance, we should see some more selling. it's a good place to look for the direction. We can definitely break out, but if we start poking above that and the RSI gets over to, this kind of overbought, and especially if you get some pattern where you've got like a double top or, two peaks and the third one comes in, this was a great place to be shorting. It wasn't necessarily making significantly higher lows. I'm sorry, higher highs. I did feel dumb getting into puts over here, and it's like, oh, it just looks like it's going to break out and it's going to completely rally, and then it didn't. It started to pull back, and then felt dumb not getting out here when it started to rally again. It's like, oh, I'm going to get stepped out, and then it rolled over and was in this bearish, which was great, and wanted a really hard sell off into the close, end of the month. But at least got a couple hours there. So that was a really nice play. Getting into it, feeling like a little bit early. I think it was actually in that candle. No, that was, let's see. You know what? I think it was easier to see on here. I think it was as this candle was coming up at one. No, it was a little bit earlier. I think it was at 113. I got filled on an option. I have to double check, but it was, and it wasn't this put either. It was later here. I want to say it was somewhere in here, but on a different put. Yeah, it's kind of hard to check now, but the confluence was basically seeing the pricing coming up into the overbought on the 5 minute and on the option, and seeing it oversold on the put. It's like, this could be a really good place. So I picked an option that for next week that gave me a little more, little less volatility, or a little less time decay than one today, and which expires tomorrow. And was happy with the way that one moved. So didn't get to my 4-hour target for Thursday. Was getting out right about at the close. Got out at 2:56 Central Time, and that is definitely a muscle. If you don't have that muscle, don't wait till that late in the day, especially on a Friday. I know this is a Thursday, but don't wait that late in the day if you don't have that hold muscle, because a move like this, it can immediately retest, especially into the close, and you lose all your gains. And it's like, okay, do I just get out? Is it going to rally? I'll just get out. I feel comfortable getting out. And it was a good idea to get out because it just chopped around, put this candle in right at the close. I was down looking at the 1 minute, 3 minute. No, I think I mostly stayed at the 1 minute. It's like, okay, this is moving. This is working out really nice. The 1 minute on this. All right, we looked at the monthly. We'll go all the way down to the 1 minute. So watching this and seeing, hey, my put is making a lot more money. It started to roll over. It's like, okay, we're going to take out this low. You can see it happening. Get a little bit of buying. Nope, take that out. It's selling off, get into a hammer. Okay, how high is this hammer going to bounce? Got back up into almost 3,300. It's like, okay, are we going to rally into the close? Nope, it rolled over, inverted hammer-ish. Got some big volume here, taking this out, and then it's like, okay, this big candle comes in. If we get another push lower, I should get out. It pushed that candle down lower. Then the small candle here, I'm like, okay, this is too indecisive. I'm going to get out. Got filled on my exit order at 256. And I was glad I did, because then it did pop a little bit. And then it just, and by pop, I mean it retraced some of this, but the option value hardly changed from here to the close. It was just sideways through here. But it was potentially there. It still had the potential that it could bounce from here. It could rally. And I've seen that even down on 1 minute. And you don't want to be holding a put option as it's rallying into the close of the day, because it can give back so much of your gains. The market maker is preparing for what could be, the setup for the next day. At least for now, we're relatively flat after hours. We'll see if we do have some sort of a gap down. I think that would be a big thing to consider with all of this happening. If we do end up gapping down, I think we'll retest pretty strong and have some sort of a rally. And then we got to see that decision zone right around the 200 if we get up to it. If we can get up to it, then look for a retest into some of these, retest into a low, see what it does there. If we get a little bit of chop, a little bit of rollover, but it doesn't get to an extreme RSI, then wait. If we're mid RSI, don't be looking to short here. Don't be looking to buy here. Wait for the RSI to get to this extreme, one way or another. That's been really the best places to buy or to sell, is looking at the RSI. And I know the RSI is high here. It just didn't show up with the pattern, this, where it actually got that retest back above the RSI high. This one stayed above, and I was comfortable with this. I really like this extra little tick back up, but it didn't get down and then come back up. So it didn't quite fit, but it was still, being back at this same level as here, and that price 33.11 was the most convincing. So a good level and a good RSI. Like this hammer, man, this hammer with the RSI being oversold, that was a great place to buy and hold that into a rally and let it retest into a previous low. This, you could add some good gains on just that little move there. That was on this call. That was, this move. You would have been really scalping this with a 33.50. So this is one I would have gone to another option probably next week. Also, let's at least go look at it. So let's go out a little bit and see what the 3,400 was at that time. So we got down to around 12. Yeah, low of 12. Buying at the end of that candle would have been probably buying around 12.50. You may have had to just get filled on the next candle, which may have been 13. So let's say buying at 13, stop down at 12. Yes, you're buying, your stop is at the low, but after that kind of hammer, it really should bounce, especially with the RSI doing this. Like this is the double bottom shape and then a little dip. So that's like, okay, set up the order, as this candle's forming. If you get the little bit of a dip or sideways, it still looks like it's kind of a little, I would have liked a little bit more of a dip down or retest, but that's a really good RSI signal to say, okay, looks like we're changing directions here. And then getting into this at 13 and holding up into a retest of not this low, but the low back on the 5 minute here. So that would have been buying at the 11:30 candle or the 11:35 candle. So 11:30, oops, I went to the daily. 11:30 candle, 11:35 candle, and then you're going to sell when it gets, I went the wrong way again, sorry. You're going to sell when it gets back up to this low, which was at the 12:05 candle. So it's a 30-minute trade. You're in at 13 and 30 minutes later, 12:05, it's almost to 15. So not quite 2 hours, but that still would have been a really nice rally. And then just get out, because you don't know if it's going to hold this as resistance and roll over, which it did, came all the way back down to 13. And you really could have done it again, buying at 13, and your target again would have been 4 hours. That's 17. Never made it up there, but this is the price that it came back up into this resistance. So we went from, even just looking at this call, we went from a low with a really good hammer on that candle. So buying like after it or on it would have been buying, like, let's just assume 13. It ran up into a previous resistance, which was like this area. This is a little lower on the call, and then did an S curve, came right back down to that same price, gave you a really good entry if you had waited to this price, and then rallied again and came into this resistance. So trade these ranges on the call. You don't necessarily have to look for that exact range from 13 up to 17 being 4 hours and hold out for it, because it's giving you the moves like this. So that's the way to trade directional options. And if you're wrong, then have your stop pretty tight and be wrong quick, and flip if you need to. Sometimes I don't like being wrong quick, and I just wait to be wrong later, and it's usually wrong more, more of a loss. But you can see the S curve, and you can see the wave. This was a really good bear wave. It had taken out a bunch of the lows, and then we start to get some bull candles, and we get a really good hammer here. We get some more bull candles, and we get into some resistance with the 21, with previous support turning into new resistance. And this was really choppy. And then we get a wave coming in again. and then it's really choppy and start to sell off, a wave bullish, kind of choppy, so like look to get into these where you've got the extremes on the RSI, getting in directionally when that's happening. And there was too much chop early in the morning, and the RSI was in the middle. It did dip down here and here, but this was just kind of breaking the low, breaking the low, breaking the low. And it was still too choppy in here. You really wanted to make a decision off of that level, that 33.11 level, and it made that decision. So this was a good place to be in. That, looking at the put, like this was a great setup. So buying at like 6 through here, stop down at 5, and you're in this, and this would have been, okay, you're in at 6, target is 10. The $10 price is above these highs. So if we can get up there, how confident am I that it's going to continue? And we touch it here, could have been filled here, but then definitely filled on this candle. And that would have been a really good gain. It moved really quickly. And if it has that kind of momentum, it's like, okay, it's not holding any, there's no other support here. We want it to roll over. We want it to continue bearish. Let it continue to run. This is one that I would take out that 4-hour target at 10 and move it up to an 8-hour target at 14. So in at 6, you want to get your stop up to 10 quickly, and that really would have been 15 minutes later. So it would have been filled at 10 on this candle. 15 minutes later would have been this candle. I can definitely get my stop at 10, and I'm almost all the way up to the 14 at the end of this candle. That's a great setup. And you can even, if it's in your plan, you can even take a 14-hour target. I'm sorry, you can take a 14 target, which would have been an 8-hour target from down here. You can take that target off if it's continuing to work and just let it run. In this case, tightening up that stop from 10 to 11. Oh, we got a wick here at 12. Let's see if we can get some higher lows. Okay, let me get that stop up to 13. And you give it the chance to break out even higher, but you got your nice tight stop here at 13. So that would have been, instead of exiting at 14, you're stopped out probably trailed out probably at 13, getting 7R, but allowing for a possibility. The next what I would have done is probably 12 or even like 15R. So it would have been 6 going up to like 21, and it just didn't run there. It didn't continue there. But even after this candle, this was that hammer. So this candle is inverted hammer. That's this hammer. After that candle, it's like, okay, we should bounce here. I'm good with getting stopped out if it does reverse. If we take this candle out, like look out below. That's where it's like, okay, take off the target, let it run, just keep trailing your stop. That's another way to do it. So hope you got some gains today. It looked choppy at the beginning and waited till 10 o'clock hit, and looking at these RSIs thinking, are we going to do some sort of bouncing? How much could we bounce? Not getting the RSI high enough here, but we did roll over. It was the only issue I had with this, with shorting here, is the, oops, went too far. The put didn't quite get the RSI low enough. That was the only problem I had with that. And then here didn't have the RSI, or no, it was here. Didn't have the RSI high enough here for next week's options. So it was the only thing I didn't like about this, but I loved this price selling off from here. And even with like a double top sort of shape, got a little bit of a neckline, not quite back up to the 21. But anyway, I can keep talking about this for a while. Today was just another amazing day to be trading and to be seeing the patterns that we've been looking at all this week really playing out. So we turned this cup and handle. This was a cup and handle over here, and turned into more of a spill from a cup and handle, and then turning it more into a triangle that's really broke down today, and gave you a couple opportunities to get in bearish right at 33.11. So calling those prices, talking about them yesterday, seeing it play out today. I hope you made some gains. Put some comments down below if you made some R's off of these levels that we talked about yesterday, and we'll see if we can do it again tomorrow. Hope this helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.